Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to lie. The last 24 hours have been very painful with the news of the passing of Patrick Day. At this time, if we could please remain silent and observe a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you. Rest in peace, Patrick. You know, Patrick Day loved boxing, and he would want these fights to go on. Every courageous man and woman that steps in the ring this Saturday night will be honoring Patrick's memory. So with that being said, let's crack on with the press conference for the great fight card we have here in Newcastle on Saturday night. Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing more exciting in boxing than a good grudge match, except maybe a British grudge match. Whether you're talking about Ben Eubank, Louis Bruno, Froch Groves, the English really seem to know how to build and create excitement around a great rivalry. So Saturday night, we have a great fight card, and I'm going to turn it over now to Mr. Eddie Hearn to tell you all about it.
Thank you, David. And we, of course, echo those thoughts. It's always difficult for the sport of boxing when a tragedy like this happens. And having only met Patrick Day once last Thursday and spoke to him for probably 30 seconds, I can see why the response that we've seen over the last 24 hours or less has been so. He was a guy that didn't need to box, but loved the sport of boxing. And everybody involved in the sport, we can never get complacent. We must always try and make it a better place, a safer place. And we must always respect fighters, always respect anybody that steps into the ring. Sometimes as fans, I think we take the whole sport for granted. We've got to always remember the sacrifices that people make. And we all love the sport. We know that fighters love the sport. But like I said, we must always keep evolving and make sure that people like Patrick Day, who had such a positive effect on the community where he lived and everybody in the sport, that his name continues to shine brightly over these next few years. So our thoughts are with him and the family, his training team, his management, his promoter, Lou DiBella, and everybody that's been so badly affected by this loss. As David said, Patrick loved the sport, and we love the sport, and on Saturday night, we have an incredible night of boxing in Newcastle. I think the great thing about this city is you feel the passion for the sport of boxing, just like we all do. And I think coming up here on the train today, you know when you got a great event when probably, and no disrespect if I get the age wrong, but maybe a late 60s lady who was doing the tea cart come up to me and she says, "Oh, I can't wait for the fights on Saturday." And that really represents your city, because that shows you that when a big event like this comes together, you're all there to support. And we're very proud of this card. We have the last tickets that have been put on back on sale from any returning tickets from the fighters. I think it's like 20 or something like that. It is going to be a complete sellout at the arena on Saturday. The atmosphere is going to be absolutely fantastic. And so many important fights from the top of the bill down to the bottom of the bill for all these fighters on the cards. Opportunities to make professional debuts, opportunities to go and try and challenge for world titles next year, opportunities to walk out in front of your crazy army of fans if you're the Benwell bomber in Joe Laws. John Doherty coming through to continue his KO streak. Kieran Conway looking for another shot at the British title. Lawrence Aseki, chance for him to try and move on and fight for British titles. Martin Bakole trying to keep making statements in the heavyweight division. And two brilliant fights topping the bill. Firstly, you got Scott Fitzgerald trying to take the British title away from Ted Cheeseman. I think these two fighters, and you know when you've got a great fight because you go backwards and forwards, you can debate it. It's all the questions are going to be answered. The win from Scott Fitzgerald over Anthony Fowler was huge for his career. Ted Cheeseman, been slung into the deep end, had it real tough, come through, battled away, learnt so much. But like I said, it's the questions. You know, will Ted Cheeseman be able to stand up to the firepower of Scott Fitzgerald? Can Scott Fitzgerald live at the pace that Ted Cheeseman will set in this fight? There's nothing quite like a 50-50 British title fight, and that's what we've got as chief support on the card. The main fight is breathtaking. Lewis Ritson, Robbie Davies Jr, an official eliminator for the WBA world title. Again, it's all the questions, isn't it? Does Lewis Ritson have the same power at 140? Can Robbie Davies stand up to that power? Can Lewis Ritson deal with the skill of Robbie Davies Jr? Can Robbie Davies Jr deal with the atmosphere? Brilliant fight. The British light middleweight, or they call it now the super welterweight, we'll call it light middleweight. British title fight. Brilliant fight. Scott Fitzgerald against Ted Cheeseman. You can debate this fight all day long, and I think still there's people arguing about who's going to win this fight. I think it's a great fight. Huge support coming up from London. Huge support coming from Preston as well. Firstly, the reigning WBA international light middleweight champion and challenger for the British title, Scott Fitzgerald.
Cheers, Eddie. Yeah, I'm buzzing for this fight. It's the opportunity I've been after since turning pro. And Ted's the champion, he's got my respect, but I feel I'm better than him in every department, and whatever he brings, I'll have an answer for.
We've seen such a calm Scott Fitzgerald in this camp. Obviously, in the Fowler fight, you got the nickname of the Madman because I think he was just winding you up, and you know, you were getting really in that situation. But you seem like there's a new maturity about Scott Fitzgerald. You must have learned a huge amount from not just the fight, but also the build-up of that last event. Yeah, I definitely did, and you know, it was a good performance. I got the win, but I feel like I actually burnt up a lot of energy before that fight, and I was, you know, I come down with illness, you know, bits of illness before it and stuff. So I've stayed calm, focused all my energy into my training, and making sure I peak perfectly on the night. I know that again, crazy support coming from Preston. It's 3 hours away, 2.5 hours away from Preston, and the amount of tickets that you've done is incredible. And I was talking to your manager Steve Wood the other day, and there's a real feel that you have an entire city behind you in Preston, similar to, you know, we're talking about Carl Frampton in Belfast, and Lewis Ritson in Newcastle, and Josh Warrington in Leeds. Things could get really, really excited with victory on Saturday. And congratulations as well on the birth of your son. Oh yeah, everything's in play now. Cheers, Eddie. Yeah, it's a massive chance. Extra thing to fight for that, and the lads in Preston love it, and I could have done more than the 800 I have done if I'd have been able to get my hands on them. But you know, I only got a certain amount of tickets. I also had a lot of people online after tickets, like social media and stuff. You know, it's hard to sort. Didn't know how to go about it, to be honest. But I've made sure I got all the people who always come sorted, and they'll be there and they'll be noisy. So I thrive off that as well, and I look forward to feeling this atmosphere in Newcastle, which I've heard a lot about. Thanks, Scott. Look forward to a great fight. This man, again, at such a young age, has been in great fights after great fights. Won the British title against Darren Byfield, stepped straight in against Sergio Garcia, challenged him from the European title, come back, defended his British title again, and now goes straight back into another 50-50 fight in the Newcastle arena on Saturday night. Ladies and gentlemen, the current reigning British light middleweight champion, Ted Cheeseman. Ted, again, I've got to say, a big air of confidence from you in this fight as well. You and Scott both feel that you've got the goods to win, and both know that it's going to be a very tough fight on Saturday.
Yeah, Scott's a really good fighter. I think everyone's flattered him really from his win against Fowler. What people don't realise, I'm still unbeaten at domestic level. I still put in some really good performance in domestic level. And obviously things ain't gone the way it should have been the last couple of fights, but I've built up a lot of experience. I'm still only 24 years old, and I'm in unbelievable shape. I'm mentally very strong at the moment. Everything's going really well. I've had a great camp. And there's one thing for sure, I'll be there from the first bell to the last bell, the 12 round, giving everything.
Obviously, people debating this fight, people talking about the power of Scott Fitzgerald, people have talked about the work rate and fitness of Ted Cheeseman. We're going to have to see something different in this fight other than the work rate of Ted Cheeseman, something that everybody knows you've got. But a lot of people talking that you're going to show something different in this fight on Saturday night.
Yeah, look, you're going to see the best Ted Cheeseman has been so far as a pro. Everything's gone perfect. I've made my weight well. I've been recovering well. I've been getting all my massages properly. All the rest recovery and the training's gone really well. And I'm just really excited for Saturday because when you're at the top, everyone's jumps on the bandwagon. When you're going down, the wheels fall off. And then when I win again Saturday, it's going to prove you're going to see everyone try and jump back on the bandwagon. But it takes a really good fighter to come from the lows and go back to the top once you've been so at a high stage. And I'm still only a baby, and I'm just so looking forward to Saturday night now.
Thank you, Ted and Fitz, two absolute fighters in the prime right now. Great training camps, mentally and physically on point for the British Light Middleweight Championship on Saturday night. Now, the main event, this is another breathtaking 50-50 domestic clash. And I think the more I've been thinking about this fight over the last couple of weeks, we all know that next week we have another brilliant light welterweight clash at the O2. Regis Progress against Josh Taylor for the unified light welterweight championships of the world, the Ring Magazine title on the belt there. For me, the winner of this fight is a natural fight for the winner of that fight next week. I think the opportunities for the winner of this fight are huge. Both huge ticket sellers, big crowd coming from Liverpool. Obviously, Lewis again, phenomenal support from the city of Newcastle. I believe that the winner of this fight will go on and challenge for a world title next, and I think it's such a huge opportunity for them. There is no champion in challenger in this fight, but as it is Davis Ritson, I'm going to flip it round this time, and I'm going to start with Robbie Davies up here. 1 British titles, 1 European titles. He is going to have his own support on Saturday night. There's probably not that many of them in here today, but of course we'll give him the respect because he's come, if you like, into the Lion's Den. The former British, undefeated British and former undefeated as a European champion, Robbie Davies Jr. Robbie, I guess these are the nights you want as a fighter. You know, huge opportunities, huge atmospheres, huge audiences around the world. Just a couple of days away from your chance to shine on Saturday.
These are the nights as a boxer that you dream of all your life, to be main event on Sky Sports in such a big arena, packed out crowd. I can't be anything more than excited. I know it's going to be hostile. I don't want to say too much in case there's a few here that start jumping down my throat. But it's definitely going to be a night to remember, and I honestly can't wait. I've prepared myself physically best I possibly could, and also like mentally is something what has always let doubters creep in on me. This is something what I've worked on a lot this camp, and I feel mentally and physically stronger than I ever have done going into this fight.
I've seen your social media, and I've seen that sort of mental edge from you in this camp. You seem to have been really focused on, you know, obviously your training, but your messaging, almost like Zen-like focus into this performance. We know that you're meticulous in your preparation in terms of your boxing and your nutrition, but have you been working particularly mentally on the focus in this fight? And it's something you're going to have to be on Saturday, is very mentally strong.
It's more because I'm coming up to the Lion's Den. It's going to be hostile, and I know my mental situation has got to be a lot stronger for a fight like this. I've got to stick to the game plan. I can't let the crowd, whether it be for Lewis or whether it be for me, get inside my head and make me come off my game plan. So it's been something me and my team have focused on. Brought new people into the team to help me focus on things like that, and I just believe I'm visualising the win already, and it's put me in a good frame of mind before I've even stepped into the ring. And everyone knows my nutrition and my physical, everything to do with my boxing's always 100% anyway, so that's no different from any other fight. But I just think this mental edge what I've got now is going to be enough to see the win on Saturday night.
We know that you're a boxing fan and a boxing man, and very intelligent about the game. When people are debating this fight, they're talking about the power of Lewis Ritson, the boxing skills of Robbie Davies, and how they're going to gel. But you believe as well, I know, and your team believe you have the power as well to hurt Lewis Ritson on Saturday night.
Yeah, because of some of my last performance at a higher level, things haven't went the way we've planned, and people are forgetting that I can punch as well. So people are more or less saying it's either Lewis the puncher or me the boxer. But I think it's discrediting myself for the power what I do have. Like when I was starting out, when I was going through all the local people who everyone fights, I was knocking them all out in one round, and then as I moved up in level, I started taking a few more rounds to knock them out. It was only in my last 2 fights, when with Matchroom, that I've been more back foot boxing, and everyone's all of a sudden thought, oh, we can't punch anymore, he's just a back foot boxer. So I think it's discrediting myself to say that I can't punch. I know that that if I land on anyone and if I land clean, I can knock them out. But we're going to be following a game plan on Saturday night, and I think it'll be enough to get the win. What's the game plan? Text you on Sunday, you know.
Okay. The reason we're here, we have to say, I mean, the reason we came back to Newcastle after years and years is because of Lewis Ritson, and the reason that we're here bringing this event to Newcastle is because of Lewis Ritson. I think he's a credit to the city in that you'll see him bobbing around anywhere up and down the high street. He's kept his team very, very tight, obviously with Neil Fannon and Phil Jeffries as well. Done a brilliant job, and Davey as well. I think it's a credit how he's kept that local team, that tight-knit team, and this is a massive opportunity for him on Saturday night. Probably one of the biggest ticket sellers and most popular British fighters I've seen in a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, Lewis Ritson. Lewis, again, you've been here before. I remember the first time I went to the arena, I think it was all new for you, a little bit sort of not starstruck, but you know, in awe of the arena. This seems like another day in the office for you, but without doubt the most important fight of your career.
Yeah, definitely the most important. I think, you know, Robbie hit the nail on the head mentally for me as well. We're head focused on this, and I think it's going to come down to that. I think me and Robbie, we're both going to be fit, we're both going to be strong, and I think it's going to come down to who mentally wants it the most, and I think that'll be me.
The support in the city is incredible. I remember, obviously, with the Highland victory, and then when we made the Patera fight, I think everybody just felt unbeatable, really, and the atmosphere that night was incredible. You lost. I remember sitting in the change room with you after, and Phil and your dad for quite a long time, and everyone was like shell-shocked. You know, it was almost like the Newcastle dream is over. And it's unbelievable, and a credit to the city, how we come back here off the back of a couple of wins, and now you sell this place out. They're behind you more than ever, and they're with you for a massive night on Saturday. The support has been incredible, and the atmosphere will be as well.
No, and I think that's a credit to the, you know, not just Geordie's, but we've had Geordie's, Macklins, people from Hartlepool, they've all come together and they've all supported us. I think, you know, just under 2,000 tickets, could have done a lot more, and I can't wait for Sunday. We're buzzing, and hopefully I can repay the North East back with a good victory.
Same question for you that I asked Robbie, but I'm going to flip it. You know, people talk about your power and his boxing ability. I know you feel like that you've got the boxing ability as well to mix it with Robbie Davies. Do you feel that you're going to have to do that and show that on Saturday, and you feel like you've got the boxing IQ to match him as well?
Yeah, I'm not stupid. You know, you look at Robbie's record, he's got one more knockout than me. He can obviously punch, and we'll be stupid to let the crowd get to a head. A bit like Patera and run out there and try and get him out there and walk onto one. So he's got a game plan, we've got a game plan, and the talking's over really now. It's just for me and Robbie to do our job on Saturday and put on a good fight for everyone watching, and the best man will win.
With Valverde, those are all on the kind of in-house show. You just see the two chief support there, Scott Fitzgerald and Ted Cheeseman. Ted Cheeseman, the British champion, on the left there. Yeah, he was in good spirits this morning, Darren. Like I say, he seems to have cleared up a few of those demons that have been plaguing him for the last year or so.
You know, and then the draw and the defeat, he's using as experience. You know, he's not looking at it as a positive, I guess, moving forward in his career. And
I just wonder whether the news of Patrick Day overnight has just instilled a little bit of respect and a bit of calmness amongst everybody, realising that actually we love to get excited about these things, but there are things so much bigger than boxing, and there will be some needle between these two. The love isn't lost, but everyone's in a particularly respectful mood this morning. I think that's a really, really good thing.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't be surprised if there were one or two words said here, but I guess...
You know, at this stage though, Chris, you know, the talking's done. It's all finished with now. You know, what is left to say? Really and truly, everyone wants to get the last words in, etc. But I think when you've trained and as hard as these guys are and prepared as well as they have, there's nothing more to be said. And look, the crowd respect that. we know when that first bell goes, it's going to be fireworks. It's going to be great. The atmosphere is going to be electric. So whether they scream or shout now, start shoving and pushing, it's not going to make any odds.
No.